welcome to this week's Geography at the Garibaldi School, where we're going to continue looking at changes in the UK economy. Last time round we were thinking about the growth of the post-industrial economy, and we were thinking about the tertiary economy, but particularly we were thinking about the quaternary economy. We looked at science parks as an example of this growing area of industry which is based around the ideas of high-tech industry, scientific research and so on. I left you with some questions to think about. The first was a skills-based question which involved just being careful by using the scale. Second was to use the figure 6, and hopefully you've started your answers with in figure 6 I can see, and you've used it twice to get your 2 points that will be developed. Explain the advantages of the location for the Cambridge Science Park. And then there was this question that I did say was slightly more thinking behind it, and probably the harder of the questions on the basis that it was only 2 marks, but you had to really kind of understand why there's been a growth in science parks in the UK. If we look at your mark schemes, if you're going to assess your work, either a red pen or highlight it, or however you're doing it, for the skills-based question, the correct answer was 4.6 kilometres. Now the examiner was being quite kind here. They'll give you anything between 4 and 5. Other years the examiner will give you 0.1 either side, so 4.5, 4.7 would have done. So it's really important that we're as accurate as we possibly can be. The second mark would have been using the map, so 2 pieces of the map evidence, and it should have credited things such as location to the motorway, which means it's got quick access to London and other big industries. But the other map showed us that it was on the edge of Cambridge, not in the centre, so it's near to the main roads that lead you out of the city to get towards the motorway, but also into towards sort of housing areas and areas of residential properties, so that the workforce can work there. The final question was thinking about why we've got more science parks in the UK. A couple of ideas here. So they help support and growing new businesses through research and new ideas. Many of the firms are connected with information, high-tech, electronic industries, but you could have gone down a number of different routes, including things like a higher educated workforce, or more developments in technology, meaning more technological advancements. Any of those kind of ideas would have been acceptable. At this point I think it's worth taking a little stop, going back to science parks. It's a completely new idea, and having a think, did I get it? Do I understand? Is there anything I need to go back over, or indeed need clarifying? Okay, welcome back then. Hopefully you've done all that, and that's clarified last week's learning. This week we're going to look at how are rural areas changing in the UK and what are the economic impacts of this. So hopefully we're going to understand by comparing 2 different areas the impacts on rural areas, so countryside areas, not towns, not cities, but the rural areas of the UK, what the impacts are of our changing UK economy. I'm going to give you some information this week that you need to think about and highlight and categorise and group, so that you can reach some valid geographical conclusions. So to start with, a little bit of practice. Using figure 20.15, describe the percentage change of the population in rural areas. Okay, it's 3 marks. Think about how we answer these questions. We haven't done a bit of this practice for a while, so use the data, make sure you get the right figures, and I'll come back to you shortly for a bit of feedback. Pause the video. Okay, welcome back. So, hopefully you've used data, hopefully you've used percentages, hopefully you've used more than one category, because on this graph what you'll see is there are 4 sections you could have spoken about. You could have spoken about towns in rural areas, villages in rural areas, villages in sparse rural areas, and hamlets and isolated homes in sparse rural areas. What we'll see is the population is increasing in all those areas. It's not declining anywhere, but that's because of a natural increase. That's because the birth rate is still higher than the death rate in rural areas, and therefore population still increases. What we should be able to do though is compare rural areas against urban areas, and clearly urban areas are growing faster than rural areas, so the percentage of urban areas is going up. We know that to be urbanisation. You could have spoken about how towns in rural areas are still the fastest growing parts of rural areas, with around about 6% change in population. The smallest are hamlets and little houses on their own, and then the villages, but there was plenty of information you could have used. To get your third mark, bearing in mind your first mark would have been to use a percentage and one of the categories on the left, I think for the third mark you needed to have some sort of reference of a comparison that urban areas are growing much quicker. So if that's the case, let's think about the two areas we're going to think about. First area is South Cambridgeshire in the south of the UK. You already know about South Cambridgeshire because you've looked at the Cambridge Science Park. So straight away you should be thinking about how this area might have been changed. You know a little bit about the industry, and you can see the area we're going to look at is Bishop Stortford, and not too far away from London Stansted Airport, which is on the M11. I've got an image of the town centre there. All I want you to do, use this aerial photograph to think about what the relief is like, so the shape of the land, the height of the land, what the land is used for, what the surrounding areas are used for. Here's a few clues. Then have a look at the town. What's it like there? What do we know about these places? Pause the video. When you've done that, you might have made a few bits of annotation around the images in your booklet. Come back to me. Okay, welcome back. The second video, we're going to look at is a town called Stornoway, which is in the northwest of Scotland in the Outer Hebrides, and there's a clue into where this is in the fact that it's called the Outer Hebrides. It is as remote as it sounds. It is quite cut off, and you can see from looking at this that it is pretty isolated in terms of this region. Sorry, it should say Stornoway, not Bishop Stortford. You can see what the industry is mainly like there. You can see the clues in the picture. So have a think about what it would be like there, and then think about in what ways are these places similar, but in what ways are they different. Think about the advantages and then think about the disadvantages of living in each place. Okay, so I will now tell you that one place is an area of population growth, and it will be no surprise to you that that place is South Cambridgeshire. One place is an area of population decline, and that area is Stornoway in the Outer Hebrides. Your task now is to use the information in the booklet. You've got some information about Cambridgeshire in southern England and the Outer Hebrides in northern Scotland. What I want you to do is develop a key for the information that's provided. I want you to look at the impacts. So you need a key for the positive impacts of population growth or decline. You need a key for negative impacts of population growth or decline. And then where possible, going the extra mile, you'll divide that into social, economic or environmental impacts. Pause the video, read through the information, code it, highlight it, understand it. Come back to me when you have. Okay, welcome back, and hopefully you've managed to do that work and it's made quite a lot of sense. What you will have found is that some places where population is growing there are advantages, such as new younger people to maintain a population of a town, higher economy, that positive multiplier effect, people investing in it, attraction of young people with skills to an area, demand for more services such as shops, bus routes, industries that are all connected to people living there. There are some disadvantages to the growth of population. House prices go up. old people like to retire to rural areas, so it changes that dynamic a little bit, and it changes the culture a little bit too. Areas of decline, though, where population is going down, is an area where you've got a lot of challenges. You've got brain drain. What that means is you've got anybody that's highly educated or highly skilled leaves the area because there's no jobs, no industry investing there. Nothing's being invested into the local community. So people leave. They go somewhere else to find jobs. Therefore, your economy starts to take a downturn. Traditional industries start to decline. Shops start to close. Businesses start to close. And before you know it, you've got a sparse population, very few people living there. To finish this week then, I want you to have a go at this question. Contrast the economic challenges associated with rural areas of population growth and decline. 6 marks again. But it's contrast. We haven't done many of these. What this means is you must compare and contrast the two regions. So you're looking for 3 similar points that counter-argue each other. If we were to bug this question, something we don't do often but it's worth highlighting, is box the command word. The command word is contrast. Underline the keywords. Well, I think rural areas, population growth and decline. Then really think about what that question's asking you to do. You've clearly got 2 very different rural areas that you could write about. You've clearly got information about and statistics that you can use about population growth, the economy growing, things like that. Each point should have a counterpoint. So you should be talking about both locations for each place 3 times over. Make your point about South Cambridgeshire, then compare it directly to on a similar level. Maybe that's about population growth or decline, or the shops opening or closing, or house prices, or education levels, or whatever it is you're going to compare should be next to each other. Pause the video, have a go. Okay, welcome back. Give yourself a little mark out of 6 here. You know the score with the basic, clear or detailed, which level are you in. We've got some double development, so we've got 3 bits of AO1 and the all AO2'd. So you should be identifying the differences between the areas. You shouldn't be looking for similarities, just differences. It says that there's no need to use a case study, but I always think that if you can back up your geographical understanding with a real life example and say, look, here it is, this is actually what's happening, then I always think that's a better answer. It should be really focusing on the economic challenges faced, so it should be linked to the economy, it should link to jobs, it should link to industry, it should link to the type of people and the skills in an area. An answer that just does 1 paragraph on one place and 1 paragraph on another will be limited to level 1. It doesn't compare and contrast. So it needs to be interconnected. You need to talk about one place and then, however, talk about the next place as well. And there's a few points. Areas with a declining population will become economically unviable. Too few people to support essential services like post offices, jobs will be lost. Growing population may mean there are insufficient services, so you need to get more services in there, more shops, more post offices, longer opening hours. When we looked at our case, looking out to Hebrides, we know that the main industry there was fishing. And what you need to understand about that is that's a declining industry, and it's certainly not one where you've got a huge amount of money to be made in it. This means that we get that brain drain, that economic shortage of out-migration, people leaving the area. This leads to a demand for houses going down, which means house prices become less, and so on and so forth. A bit like that cycle of decline. Areas like South Cambridgeshire, though, and we know there's the Cambridge Science Park, you've got in-migration, people moving to the area, you've got house prices going up, you've got more houses needed, you've got challenges then on the environment. If you need more houses, are you going to build in the surrounding rural areas and build on that green belt land? So the 2 areas were completely different, despite both being rural areas, and hopefully you've been able to contrast your argument or your answer well. So that's the end of this week's learning. Again, as always, go back to your work, have a look back. Does it make sense? Are you happy with it? Do you really understand? For those of you that are looking for a little bit more, always good. to turn these lessons into a revision resource and commit that to your long-term memory. Until next time, take care, and we'll speak again soon.